Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. I'm Maria Liberati. A special bonjour et bienvenue to my listening audience in France that has been growing. Merci beaucoup for joining us, and as always, thanks to all my listeners in the USA and around the world for joining us today. I like traveling around the world this way, even for now, if it's in voice only. The most beautiful things are the simplest. Call me frugal or thrifty or anything in between, but my favorite things are those that are the simplest. Or maybe I'm just infatuated with the philosophy of Leonardo da Vinci, who once said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. In fact, lots of people have adopted simplicity into their lives. Simplicity has even influenced the arts, the visual, and culinary arts. Staring at the fresh green palette created by my summer herb garden, I decided to keep my lunch today simple and beautiful with a spaghetti alla herbette. That's spaghetti with fresh herbs. It's a tasty way to combine all those fresh herbs from my garden. Serve it with a light chilled dry white wine, something like a Chianti or Est Trebbiano, or even, if you wanted to add a festive touch, a dry Prosecco. And I know a lot of my listeners have started gardens this summer because of all that extra time at home. Here's the recipe for my simple spaghetti alla herbette. 1 pound, that's 500 grams of spaghetti, 2 cloves of fresh garlic, 3 tablespoons or 45 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Here's where the summer herbs come in. A handful of fresh rosemary, handful of fresh thyme, handful of fresh parsley leaves, 1 small dry red hot pepperoncini, those little red hot peppers. Peel the garlic and cut it into small slices. Sprinkle each slice with a pinch of salt, and then mash the garlic with a fork. Place the olive oil in a saute pan over low heat. Place in the mashed garlic, chopped rosemary, and chopped thyme. Make sure you chop only the leaves of the rosemary and the thyme and the parsley. When the garlic becomes golden, add in the chopped red pepper. Saute for 1 minute. Remove from heat and let stand. Boil the water for the pasta, and when the water is a rolling boil, cook the pasta till al dente. Drain the pasta and place into the saute pan with the olive oil and garlic and herbs. Toss the pasta to coat, serve, and top the pasta dish with finely chopped parsley. The basic art of simplicity is how I describe this next recipe, this cake. It is simple and uses fine breadcrumbs instead of flour, so if you have leftover bread, here's your chance to make use of it before it's no longer usable, and a few other ingredients. Of all the things I've learned in Italy, it's the art of simplicity in everything, from cooking to design to style to life. And keeping things simple is an art. Recipes with only a few basic ingredients that still have the power to wow, that is an art. This dessert is called torta pane e cioccolata, which is a bread and chocolate cake. 6 tablespoons of sugar, 6 eggs, 6 tablespoons of plain fine breadcrumbs. And you can make those breadcrumbs from leftover bread that you have. Instead of getting rid of it, you can make use of it by making breadcrumbs. And 2 16-ounce chocolate bars, grated. They should be at least 65% cocoa. My preference is 90% cocoa. And some whipped cream. Beat the egg yolks with sugar till the yellow color disappears and the mixture is a clear color. Add in the breadcrumbs and grated chocolate a little at a time. Beat the egg whites in a separate bowl till firm. Gently fold in the egg whites into the egg yolk mixture with a rubber spatula. Do this gently. Butter an 8-inch cake pan and dust with fine breadcrumbs. Bake in an oven preheated to 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. Remove from the oven and let cool. Remove from the pan. Sprinkle some finely chopped candied fruit on top and serve with whipped cream. Leonardo da Vinci was known for his preference for simple foods and avoidance of meat. He believed that his diet was the best way to stay healthy and mentally sharp. So how can one follow his lead? Simple foods include fresh, local fruits and vegetables. The best place to find fresh fruits and vegetables is, if not your own backyard garden, then a local farmer's market. The combination of simple foods to create complex flavors is another staple of Leonardo da Vinci's meals. You can accomplish this by keeping a variety of ingredients and making dishes that include variety in taste and in color. Done correctly, this will create flavorful foods as well as a healthy diet. Every day there's always a new study online about how healthy the Mediterranean diet is. But did you also know that the Mediterranean diet, as it is today, was heavily influenced by Da Vinci's ideas and principles of simplicity? Enjoy the local specialties in your area. Da Vinci's daily diet emphasized many traditional dishes from the region of Tuscany, which influenced his philosophy on food and in so many ways his work. Now that most of us are staying close to home, it's a great time to take notice of local specialties that are close to home. There are lots of food traditions practically in your own backyard that might be worth exploring. Don't overlook the locally owned restaurants and bakeries and delis. You just might find a new favorite food. For more on Leonardo da Vinci and his life as a foodie, you can get my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Da Vinci Style, at Amazon.com, MariaLiberati.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and many other online sellers. Yes, Leonardo's simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So simplicity gives us the discipline to become our best self. Marla Goldberg, my guest for today's podcast, is trained in 14 different healing techniques and 20 healing modalities. She's going to help us to master the art of simplicity. And we're so lucky to have a special guest today. She is Marla Goldberg, who is a best-selling author, world-renowned energy healer, and she is the host of Guided Spirit Conversations, which is a podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Marla, and for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Maria.
You're very welcome. So what was your inspiration to help people heal and live a simple life? Is this something that you've always done?
Well, it came a little bit later in life for me. I was a serial entrepreneur. So for me, I was starting a business, running a business and being done. And then I had gone into a really dark place in my life. And there was a woman talking about how to heal yourself. And I thought, oh, this is great. Because I needed tools because nothing was working. And so it was after I graduated her 3-year mystery school, and I was with my current husband. We were traveling, and this big booming voice basically commanded me to start a practice and start helping people. And so that's what I ended up doing. I've always been a helpful person. I always picked up stray dogs if I found them and, running around the street. I realized I was here for a higher purpose than just finding stray animals.
What does a simple life mean to you? What do you want people to take away from your work?
Simplicity in life is for me, it is about slowing down, smelling the roses. For me personally, I stopped multitasking. I now do one focused task at a time. It only might be for 5 minutes, and then I'll go to another task, but it's focused, opposed to trying to text and talk on the phone and do my numbers, do my accounting all at one time, which I used to try to juggle. And now I don't. It's about taking time for self-care, to replenish yourself. And, that can be done through walks in nature, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, some of these more mindful practices, because it really gets you present in the moment.
Yes, and that's so important. And one thing I like to just mention, I think I actually got a dog about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've been forced to, not forced, it's not that I don't enjoy it, but she's helped me really enjoy nature. I'm kind of like what you said. I'm a serial entrepreneur and I'm always running and on the go. But now when I spend my time with her, it forces me to be focused on nature and just having some quiet time and just enjoying and being mindful. So I just love it. And, it's really helped my life a lot. She really, kind of forces me to get in that mindful mood. So, but yes, that's really important what you had said.
That's why so many people are adopting dogs during this time,
I
because it gives them companionship and it gives them a purpose.
Yes, it actually does. And it forces you to, I guess, appreciate things, the simple things, really simple things that
Mm.
people don't appreciate, nature and a lot of very simple pleasures. So, what do you want people to take away from your work? Because you do so many interesting things.
Well, I'm here. What I want to do is help people to turn their life or enhance their life or tweak their life, whatever it is they feel they need, so that they have the life they're divinely meant to live. It took me a long time to be able to turn my life from being, dysfunctional with a capital D to where I'm at today.
Mhm.
And every day I just am so grateful that I am on this path, that I'm in this journey, and my journey has gone in this way. So instead of my roller coaster life that it used to be, it's now serene, it's peaceful, it's joyful, and it's truly happy.
So, what I wanted to ask you, because I know at this time there's definitely a lot of people, I think people are either extremely stressed out or extremely relaxed about just having to stay home. I think there's the mix there of one extreme to the other. So, what are some tips you can give my listeners about stress management, especially right now, as there could be a lot of unanswered questions and uncertainty and things like that? What are some of your tips?
So the first thing I'm going to suggest is don't ruminate on the negative of what potentially could happen, because all you're doing is doing what I call the boomerang effect. You're putting that negative energy out there and it's going to come back to you. It's the law of attraction. And so if you turn those thoughts around, if they're coming in, just say no and say, someone might be unemployed. And it's just like, no, something better is going to come to me, and just be open to what's better. The mind is so powerful, and what you do with it and the energy that the mind expels is truly powerful. So turning around the way you look at something is really helpful, and it does help you relieve stress or start looking for options. Trying what's great about YouTube is you can find a class on anything. You can learn Italian, you can learn French, you can learn to cook, you can learn aerial yoga. Anything you want to learn, you can learn it on YouTube. And if you're connected, doing something positive to enhance a skill you may not have had or hone a skill you're just learning might take you in a different direction in your life that you never thought you'd be going through. So, for example, you like to bake. Well, now you're baking and giving away things to your neighbors because you're honing your skills. All of a sudden, you're becoming an expert at sculptured cakes. And you start doing that and making them, and people are on demand, and people are hiring you to bake cakes for them and to sculpt them. There are things like that that can happen now at this time where you might have been too busy to be able to focus on any of these things.
Exactly. And I think that's really important. I think people don't really look at the opportunities they have. They're always, just like you said, looking at the negative things, but there are so many, and there are so many other positive things too. Like you just said, you can go on YouTube, you can learn to do almost anything now, and it's just so easy. So, as you said, instead of spending your time ruminating on negative, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, learn something, stretch your mind, just like you said. And I think that's so important. And I'm so glad that you brought that out. So let's see, what tools do you use to be content and to keep things simple? Because we're trying to, I know simplicity, and I know you or will agree with me on simplicity. It's really important. And I think you said this anyway, that it's really important to, have simplicity in your life and not be everything all cluttered up. So what tools do you use to keep things simple and to be content?
So I'm a big person who's into meditating, because meditating clears your mind, grounds you for the day, And when you start your day with a meditation, whether it's a mindful walking meditation or if you sit down, cross-legged for 45 minutes, whatever works for you, because it helps getting you settled. I feel that just slowing down one's life and decluttering it, as you had mentioned, taking out so many things, and just know so instead of trying to juggle four things at one time, say, no, I'm going to focus on this one thing. If I focus on it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's fine. Then I'll go to the next thing, but don't try to do them together. Give your mind the opportunity, because it's like a vacation if you only have to focus on one thing, especially if you're a multitasker. It's like putting your brain on vacation. I think that getting out into nature, it's important. You need to do some things to enhance your senses. So there's smelling. Smell the roses, smell the flowers, smell fresh cut grass. There's feeling, which you can do through numerous things, but you can bake bread and knead bread and feel the dough between your fingers. Or maybe you like to finger paint. That's another different texture. Stop and listen. They have these hearing meditations. And so basically what it is when you're quiet, you take the noise that you hear and you bring it into that meditation. So instead of allowing it to disrupt your meditation, you allow it to integrate into the meditation and the sounds, and it just takes you to a different level. Bite into an organic piece of fruit or vegetable, and you taste true taste, because when it's stepped on, in my opinion, with GMOs and chemicals, you might get a bigger fruit, but it's not necessarily the fruit that you don't get the full true flavor of a piece of fruit that's natural. The same thing with vegetables.
Yes, yes, no, I agree. And I think the one thing too, and this is something you're probably stressing, and I don't think people realize, when people like myself, and it sounds like you are like this too, that are constantly, working and we juggle things, although it sounds like you've learned how not to do that. You feel like when you do things like that, it's like, no, I can't because I need to be working. But you actually need to do those things it's like you're recharging your batteries, right? I learned that by doing that when I forced myself into just taking some time, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, it just recharged my batteries. I was doing everything so much in a more productive, and just so improved. Everything improved by doing that. So I've learned that you need to take some downtime all the time and do just what you said, and it's like recharging your batteries. Tell my listeners about your show. It sounds like a really interesting podcast, Guided Spirit Conversations, and also how can they listen and support that show? But tell us about the show.
Thank you. So what I do in my show is I interview metaphysicians, thought leaders, spiritual leaders, healers from across the globe. And so when I came up with the concept, what I wanted to do is spotlight not necessarily the well-known healers, but there's so many powerful, amazing people who you might not know, who might be your everyday, healer next door, but they're so good at what they do and they've got such great success rates behind them. And I wanted to spotlight people like that. And then I wanted to give the audience the ability to have takeaways. So the guests share tips, tools, techniques that they can easily incorporate into their life to help shift, tweak, or enhance it, whatever it is they feel they need for their journey.
I think especially at this time, it's really a wonderful time to be listening to a show like that, to give inspiration. Describe your path to writing My Sacred Journal. What did that process teach you?
So the Sacred Journal is an adjunct to my best-selling book, My Effing Long Journey to Loving Myself, A Guide to a Shorter Path. And so what I've started doing is developing tools that I used that I learned and used through school and my spiritual journey that helped me transform my life from what it was to what it is today. And so my book is partially self-help, partially memoir. And in the memoir, it shows where I would have used these tools if I would have known them earlier on, and where I actually did use the tools. So my Sacred Journal is a tool because journaling is so powerful. It's so important. It's great for processing, negative emotions, but it's also great for planting the seeds for manifestation and putting down your dreams, your hopes, your desires. And so that's what I wanted to do with the journal. And in addition to that, I also have a scream pillow because sometimes you just need to scream and let some of this stress and anxiety out. You sound like you might be on the East Coast, maybe New
Yes.
York,
Yes.
and people are very close together, especially in the city of Manhattan. And if
Yes.
you needed to scream and let something out,
Yes.
well, your neighbors might get really alarmed. And yeah, I don't think you want the police knocking on your door, or somebody else because they think you did something. So the scream
Yes.
pillow is meant to, put, to muffle the screaming, but to allow
Yes.
you to process. All these things I've done because I wanted to develop tools to support the book, to support the readers and the people who need the shifts and the changes.
That's wonderful.
So,
Yes. Yeah, well, that sounds like a very interesting journey also. And yes, journaling is so cathartic. People don't realize that also, and I found that out also. It's just it's a really really strong thing. It's really really important, and I would recommend to anyone, even just, writing in a little diary or something. It's just so intensive. So it's something that is an activity I would recommend for anyone to do daily. But I know you mentioned about we were already talking a little bit about food and cooking and even baking. If you like baking or cooking and you don't never have the time to do it, now's the optimum time to get
yeah.
into it. Go on the internet, because it does awaken your senses, as Marla has been saying the whole time. It's just another activity that awakens many of your senses also and brings you closer. So Marla, I often talk about how food and cooking can bring joy and happiness, just as you did to yourself and others. And I always ask my guests, and I wonder, so what does food mean to you?
So, other than being a necessity for energy and for you to go on with life, food is a bridge to opening up communication with other people. My husband and I love to invite people over. And now with this social distancing, we will invite some neighbors over, socially distanced, but we love to break bread with people. I mean, it's not bread, it's meat or fish or pasta or whatever, but it starts conversation and it opens it brings down the walls and you can converse and you can get to know somebody on a different level than you might if you were in a working environment or you're just passing in the street. I'm a former foodie and I owned a bakery and a candy manufacturing business in my
Oh,
past
wow. Your past
entrepreneurial.
life.
Exactly. So I love feeding people. It's my nature, and I think it brings, when you feel satiated, there's a warmth that you feel inside. And
Yes.
so that's what food can bring, is that warmth, that connection.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Marla Goldberg, world renowned energy healer, best selling author, and host of Guided Spirit Conversations. Tell us where we can find you on wherever, everywhere.
Okay.
Tell us.
You can find me everywhere. Well, first
Yes.
of all, for my book, My Effing Long Journey, you can get that at Amazon, and my Sacred Journal is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. The pillow you need to order from me at Marla Goldberg, and that's with two R's. So it's MarlaGoldberg.com. And so you go to my website, you can see it there, and you can order it directly from me. And if you want me to sign it, I can sign it when I send it off to you. Instagram, I'm at marla.goldberg. Twitter, I'm at mghealer. On Facebook, it's marla.goldberg with two R's, .9. And in LinkedIn, I'm Marla Levitt Goldberg. So those are all my handles and where you can find me. And Guided Spirit Conversations is on Voice America every Thursday at noon Eastern Time. And you can find that at voiceamerica.com. You look for the Empowerment Channel and then Guided Spirit Conversations.
Great. Thanks so much, Marla. Thanks for being here, and much success in your work. Really
Thank you.
interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us and listening to the Maria Liberati Show. If you have any recipes that were inspired by simplicity to show off, or if you make any of my recipes shared in this podcast and you want to show it off, take a picture of your dish and hashtag the Maria Liberati Show. Post the photo on social media. We'll be gathering pictures and posting on my soon-to-be updated website in the next few weeks. Thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and my writing intern, David Hunt. Go to my website, marialiberati.com, to keep up with my blog and the show and my book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Push that button to like, share with your friends. Join me on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, and Chef_Maria Liberati on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, and on Pinterest at Maria Liberati. And this podcast is heard all over the world on Anchor.fm, Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, Radio Republic, and more. What does food mean to you? Hashtag your answer with hashtag the Maria Liberati Show in a recorded soundbite of 60 seconds or less, a social media post of 50 words or less. Post on social media or email to me at marialiberati.com. If selected for an upcoming podcast segment, you'll receive an autographed copy of my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or ideas for upcoming segments, email me directly at maria@marialiberati.com. Until next time, peace, love, and pasta.